Now we'll view our test cases as they appear when published to Orchestrator. In Orchestrator, we have the ability to create test sets that group specific test cases together. This allows us to test more effectively. For example, here you're seeing two test cases that test different logins depending on user permissions. For this test set, we have two test cases that are testing the ability for different user roles to log into Workday. Since this test set has two test cases included inside, it needs all of its test cases to pass in order to be considered a passing test set. Now we'll run another test set that contains test cases related to terminating an employee. The other thing to note is for each test set, you can view details about each test case's run in Orchestrator or in Test Manager. This test set is comprised of three different test cases. The first test case checks to see if a manager is able to submit a termination request. The second test case checks that once a termination request is submitted, the department head is able to approve that request. And lastly, the final test checks to see if once the termination is approved, can the decision be reversed within a workday and the termination rescinded. In these tests, we are using the final messages on the last page of the process to determine if the robot was successful. Throughout the process, we can also build out other checks along the way, looking for different test criteria such as error messages, new browser windows, or the presence or absence of different buttons. Once the process is complete, we can see that all of our test cases pass as denoted by Orchestrator. This last test set we're running showcases our third-party integration with SAP. The idea behind this test is that once a user is terminated, they also need to be blocked within an ERP system. And as with most tests, we are also checking to see that once we've blocked the user, that we're also able to unblock them. It's important to note that we manually kicked off all of these test cases. In reality, you can schedule these tests to run on a cadence through Orchestrator. Lastly, we're taking a look at Test Manager to view the results of our runs through Orchestrator. We can also review our test cases as well as our test case requirements within Test Manager. Thank you for your time.